Hey everybody, good morning. How are you? Happy Wednesday. We made it to hump day, the middle of the week. I hope that you're doing well. Thank you for joining me. This is the latest edition of our data roundtable. This is a gathering where anybody can bring up any topic that they would like to talk about. Uh, I invite all data professionals to talk about articles, problems, projects, thoughts, life, whatever you'd like. This is the place for us to come together and share ideas, share different thoughts, different experiences, different experiments, whatever you'd like. The whole point is that we get together as a community and we share, we talk, we work through the process of sharing ideas and hearing other ideas. Super, super important skill in data science, and really in all sciences, right? I mean, why do scientists have conferences and present you know project boards at conferences and things like that, right? You do that because it's part of the scientific process, it's part of the sharing, it's part of talking things out and kind of just getting other people's perspective, right? Because that's the beauty of science, right? We don't always know if we're on the right track, but we do the best experiments we can. We try to prove our hypothesis as much as possible and see where it ends up, right? So talking things out is part of the process. It's good for us to practice that. It's certainly something that I do when I run data science teams. I encourage a lot of dialogue in the data science team room where you can say, "Oh yeah, how's that project going? Oh well, this is the approach I'm taking. Oh really? Why is that? Tell me more about that." Or kind of just work through it and challenge each other. Very, very healthy part of the data science process. So if you're here in the chat, welcome. Let me know that you're out there. Let me know what's on your mind, and we'll see where the conversation takes us. Let me adjust my camera here. My camera needs just a little bit of adjustment. Okay, there we go. I think that's pretty good. All right, so yeah, let me know if you're out there. Let me know if there's anything you want to talk about. Right now, at the very, very moment, I have resumes on the brain. I am working on a piece of content that I'll most likely release tomorrow, maybe. I have a piece of content that I'm working on around resumes, and I'm 100% comfortable saying that I've read thousands of resumes in my career. With all the work I've done and the hiring, and I've gone to job fairs where I'm like running a table at a job fair, so I've read thousands of resumes, and it's funny how you see the same mistakes over and over again. So I'm going to be producing a piece of content around the most common mistakes I see about resumes, and I'm going to put it out there and see if people are interested, because a resume is really something that, well, I think we all care about, right? I mean, it'd be very rare to find a working professional who doesn't have a resume, right? I mean, do you know anybody like that? I don't. Um, but it speaks for us, right? A resume is a representative of you, right? It speaks for you. It's supposed to highlight you and put your best foot forward. But people make the same mistakes. I mean, even the coaching clients I have make the same mistakes. So I've gone ahead and prepared that, and we'll see if people reply to it. We'll see if it resonates with people. Maybe it'll resonate with you. So if you're in the chat, let me know you're out there. Feel free to say hello. In the chat, we already have our good friend, Casual Economist says, "I missed a few days, but I'm back from the dead." Well, glad to hear you. Glad to hear that you're feeling better there, Casual Economist. I know you mentioned that you were a little bit under the weather. I think that was maybe on Saturday or Sunday that you mentioned that. But I hope you're feeling better. Let us know how you're doing. Did you take a few days off work? Are you okay? Let us know. But glad you're here, my friend. 619, thank you so much for coming back. Good to see you again. 619 says, "Hello, I'm back. Good to see you. How are you, my friend? Hopefully you're doing well. I know you asked some really great questions. I think it was yesterday. Was it yesterday or the day before? I can't remember. But yeah, good to see you. I know you said you were from Asia, I believe. Was it Thailand that you were from? I know you said Asia, but I want to say it was also Thailand, but I might be wrong on that. No, it was Thailand. That's right. Because yeah, I remember it was Thailand. So hope you're doing well out there, 619. It's funny because I genuinely, I can remember people. Okay, he says, yeah, yesterday. So I can remember people, but I don't always remember the timelines. Because remember, for me, like, guys, I gotta tell you, being self-employed is already weird. But being self-employed when you're a content creator is even weirder because all the days kind of mix into each other, right? Like, I'm always working, right? There's always something to do. I'm always on my phone. There's always something to reply to, something to look at, something to research. I'm always on ChatGPT. So, and then you guys know that I work every day for streaming. So, I Tuesday, Saturday, Sunday, Wednesday, like it's all the same to me, right? I'm reminded of when I was in Palm Springs. I lived in Palm Springs for a few years, for a long time actually, and I like to play golf, and Palm Springs is a great place to play golf, right? Plenty of courses, plenty of people who play golf. And I remember I had a friend, his name was Bob, and Bob had a rule where he was retired, so he just said, so he would always just tell me, yeah, whenever you want to play, just give me like, just tell me the day before that you want to play, and we'll go play somewhere. And I was, and I was still working at the time and busy and stuff. And I was like, you don't need any more notice than that? Are you sure about that? And he looked at me and he said, Dennis, I've been retired longer than you've been alive. So for me, like one day is just as good as the next. Like I don't care what day it is. So I remember that, and I kind of feel that now, where you could tell me we're doing something tomorrow or the next days. Like it doesn't matter whether it's a weekend or a weekday or a school night. It's all the same to me. I'm just working. I'm just being me. So I may not remember when you were here last, but I remember names and things like that. It's a weird mix. It's a weird mix. So 619 says Thailand. Yes. Okay, cool. I didn't ask you what part of Thailand, 619. Let us know. Thailand is interesting because it's all over my TikTok feed right now. Because obviously there's a lot of videos about moving to Thailand and living in Bangkok, living in, I guess Chiang Mai is another one of the popular cities. So a lot of move to Thailand videos are in my timeline right now. So fascinating country. I'm sure there's a lot of foreigners from all over the world. They're not just the U.S. But glad that you're back, 619. I know you mentioned you were in high school. So is right now the summer for the Thai school system? Because I know that not every culture out there follows the traditional September to June type of calendar. I know there's plenty of countries that have different school calendars. So let us know. I'm assuming you're on summer, but who knows? Maybe Thailand goes to school December to whatever, right? Whatever it'd be, September, right? So I don't know. Maybe, right? So let us know, 619. Yes, so as I was saying, I have resumes on the brain right now because I see so many of the same common mistakes. And I'm hoping to put out some content to help people with that. I think that one of the biggest things that I can say about resumes, and I was just writing this content before I came online. I think people, well, first of all, you guys know that I always talk about playing the metagame, right? There's always a strategy to the strategy. And so you have to ask yourself, what am I doing with a resume? What can I win with a resume? What is the whole purpose of this, right? And what I think a lot of people don't remember or they get lost in is a resume, you're just trying to get called in for an interview. That's it. That's the whole point of a resume. That's it. That's all you can win from a resume. No one's going to hire you from a resume, but they'll call you in for an interview from a resume, right? So that's all you're trying to do. So all you want to do is create a resume that makes the hiring manager say, yes, I want to interview this person. That's it. That's all you're trying to do. That's all you can really win, right? There's nothing else to win. So I consistently see mistakes that people do that kind of block themselves from that, right? But that's all you're trying to do. You're just trying to get them to say yes. Yes, I want to interview them. That's all you want to do, and that's all you can do, because there's nothing else to win. No one's going to look at your resume and say, "Oh, send this person an offer letter." Right? You just want them to say, "Yeah, I want to talk to them." That's it. So keep that in mind the next time you're working on your resume, or if you want to take a look at your current resume now. You can ask yourself, is my resume set up for a manager to quickly say, "Yeah, call this person. Yeah, let's bring this person in." That's all you want. That's all you want, and that's all you can get. A lot of people kind of overlook that. So keep that in mind, guys. Manoj, our good friend Manoj says, "Good morning, Sir Dennis." Manoj from Bangalore. And you're good to see you, Manoj. Haven't seen you in a little bit. Good to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Hope that you're staying cool out there in India. Let us know how you're doing. Let us know what you're up to. I know last time you were here, you were talking about some of the kind of like the agriculture-oriented projects you were working on. I know you were talking about some challenges around the data. Data isn't always standardized or always easy to collect around some of the projects that you do, but you just keep on moving forward. You keep on doing what you can, and that's a good thing, Manoj. So thanks for being here, my friend. So 619 says, "Yes, we still go to school." Okay, so 619, you got me curious. So what is the school year in Thailand? Right, because it's possible that you guys have a completely different school year than other countries, right? Which it's probably actually pretty likely, right? So let me know, 619. And if you're still in school, then what are you doing up at this hour? It's late. You got to get to bed. Tomorrow's a school day. But anyways, guys, so anything else you guys want to talk about? Let me know. Anything on your mind? Are you guys doing okay? Anything you guys want to talk about? You want to talk about life? You want to talk about some cool article you read? Some cool prompts you're working on? I later this morning, I'm also going to tape a quick reply to a comment somebody made in my in one of my posts. And if you guys have noticed, I refuse to use AI content. Somebody accused me of generating AI content, and I get it. I use the same background, and I tend to wear the same clothes because it's just easier that way. But I do not use AI content. I've tried some AI content. You guys the analytics tell me that it doesn't work very well. I have an account on Synthesia. I have an account on HeyGen. A couple other places I can't remember. So I've tried it. I have an avatar. I just don't use it. I just don't use it. And I never use AI of any kind when I'm working with my clients. If you're a one-on-one client, you're speaking only with me. I don't have a staff. I don't farm it out. And I don't use AI. I keep things as genuine as possible. And I think that people will appreciate that in all forms of content for a long time to come, right? Authenticity is still valuable out there. 619 says, "I just love your channel, so helpful." Oh, thank you very much. Thank you so much. I just trying to put out good content. 619. So I was actually just having this conversation with a coaching client the other day. I think that when people ask me about, you guys know I recommend the book Mastery by Robert Greene, and I'm a big fan of following your passions. I've shared my story about how I followed my passion, and I found my passion in the middle of my career and then followed it for data science, of course, right? So, like, this is the net result of it, right? Like, me coming on here and being blessed and being able to build an audience and have people love my content. Like, this is all passion driven, right? And that's why I think people like it, right? So when people doubt me and say, "Oh, that mastery book," or "I don't want to follow my passions, I just want money, I just want to get a new title, and I just think data science is a great way to make money, and AI is like trending, so I want to do AI." It's not going to lead you to happiness. Like when somebody tells me that and they say, "Yeah, I want to do just like what you've done, Dennis." Well, you're not going to do it because you're not passionate about it, right? So, I think about that as far as like when people come to me and their different motivations and all that. I mean, if you like what I'm doing and you like the experiences I've had and the stories I share, it's all passion driven. It's all passion. I just like doing this stuff. I know it's all like sounds so trite and everything, but I haven't worked in a long time because I love this stuff. So, anyways, Manoj says, I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. It feels like hell to miss your daily streams. I appreciate that, my friend. Um, yeah, I sincerely appreciate the sentiment. I just would hate for that sentiment to keep someone from coming back, right? I don't want somebody to be embarrassed or ashamed to come back because they missed a few or whatever. Anybody's welcome at any time. So thanks, Manoj. I appreciate that. So yes, so if you want to share why you missed, feel free to do so. I mean, were you working on something or everything all right on your end? Just let us know. So 619 says, what's your opinion on data science job in the next 10 years? Will AI replace it? Should I still pursue data science? You should still absolutely pursue data science. When I get these questions, I'm always curious about it. Like what do you think is driving AI? Like data science is at the core of that, right? Like data science is more than just AI, right? So to me, this is like asking, um, like, I broke my arm and they fixed my arm, so we know how. So the world knows how to fix a broken arm. Should I not go into medicine? Should I not pursue my dream of becoming a doctor because we know how to fix broken arms? Like that's kind of like what I feel people are like. That's the equivalent of what people are asking me when I read these. Because like how do you think we got to fixing a broken arm? Like how do you think we got there? And then there's a lot more than just fixing somebody's broken arm, right? Like there's a lot more to medicine than that. A lot more things that a doctor can do, right? So I hope that analogy makes sense, but that's kind of like what I feel people are asking me like data science is driving an AI and data science is much more than just AI, right? So there's no need to think or to fear that AI is going to go away. Like, oh, excuse me, that data science is going to go away just because we live in the age of AI, right? Like nobody stopped wanting to become a doctor because antibiotics helped us cure a lot of diseases, back in the pioneer days or whatever, right? So that's what I would tell you, 619, that data science is driving the AI side of things, right? I'm just scared that they won't hire juniors anymore, and my parents are also concerned about this. Well, look, I mean, here's the part I haven't gotten to yet. Yes, the nature of being a data scientist will be different in the future. You will be much more aided by AI, sure, but that doesn't mean the end of it. There's plenty of other um, professions or industries that have been affected by automation and RPAs and things like that, right? But they're still around. They're just different. Like being a trader on Wall Street right now is different than it was 20 years ago, but it's still there. You can still be a trader on Wall Street. It's a very different job, but it's still a job. It's still an industry, right? I mean, honestly, I would be much more concerned about other professions than I would data scientist, right? Like I would be 10 times more concerned about being a lawyer or being like an instructor or a teacher of some kind and losing your job to AI versus data science and losing your job to AI. Maybe even doctors. People say that the medical industry is also going to be heavily affected by AI. I'm not sure if I 100% buy into that. But if you're like a lawyer, a real estate agent, a teacher, a computer programmer, right? Those are 10 times more likely to be affected than data scientists. I'm pretty sure of that part, right? So keep that in mind, 619. It's going to change, right? It'll be a different expectations and different tools for data scientists, but it'll still be around. Oh, and another thing too that I tell people about this is when you say, "Oh, data science is being replaced by AI," um, it also kind of makes me question if people understand how not used or underutilized data science is on the whole. Like there's plenty of companies and maybe not entire industries, but certainly plenty of companies out there that have no idea what data science can do for them. And I know that because I get calls from those people every day, right? Like if you're like a medium business, you have like, 100 employees, you're in the middle of Iowa and I don't know, what do you do? You're a welding shop, right? You're a steelworks welding shop. Like like they don't know what data science means for them. It can mean something to them, right? But they don't know it. Like they haven't done anything with it. And that's not AI. That's like, traditional data science, machine learning stuff you can do to help them, right? That's still the case. Like don't read social media and assume that every single company has adopted AI and every single company has a data science team. That's far from the case. Far from the case. And I mean, even the ones that are doing it aren't necessarily doing it well. I get calls from those companies too, right? So that's what I would tell you, 619. Plenty of opportunities out there. And if you believe in AI, what do you think is driving AI? It's all based in data science, right? So stay positive. Absolutely no reason to be pessimistic on data science. It's good that you're thinking about this though, because it means you're going to be prepared, right? I get it now, and I start to have more hope now. Okay, good. So turn that hope into actions in becoming more prepared, right? How are your prompt engineering skills? How are your skills with just using AI tools in general, right? So that's what I would start doing because that's going to be the data scientist of the future, right? I mean, just like the modern trader on Wall Street isn't about what they think about the markets, it's about managing the algorithms that tell them what to think about the markets, right? So start to kind of have that mentality of, well, how can I best use AI tools to help my development, my growth, my algorithm development, my application of the scientific process, so on and so forth, right? Because then you're having a much more like future ready or future thinking approach to your career. Because I know you're still like, I know you're still young and you're developing your skills and all that, so good for you. But if you're looking a couple years down the road, that's what I would be asking myself. So how's your prompt engineering skills? Let us know in the chat if you'd like. But start developing those prompt engineering skills. Super important, right? So for anybody else joining us in the chat, this is our data roundtable format. You're welcome to ask anything you'd like. The whole point is to have open discussion from anybody who wants to join in, any questions they have, topics, articles, features, tools, whatever you'd like. This is the open nature of our discussion. So let me know. Let me know what the rest of your week is looking like. For me, I had a great client call yesterday, and I have another client call today. It's really busy on the coaching side of what I do. So looking forward to all of that. Looking forward to working with all these great people. I have a really wonderful wonderful set of clients right now. So really looking forward to building that side of my business more. Vensa, welcome. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Vensa, I'm pretty sure it's your first time, so welcome. Thank you for joining us. Vensa says, how good are you at prompt engineering? I'm okay. I'm okay. I mean, how do you gauge those skills, right? How do you gauge a prompt engineering skills? That's not always easy. It pays to be descriptive, right? So I think I've always been a pretty strong writer, and I think being a good writer is kind of critical to prompt engineering. So I'm okay. I'd give myself a B plus. Doing good, but room for improvement. If you want to see some of my prompt engineering, check out my videos on YouTube, especially the learning series I've done on neural networks and on Introduction to Statistical Learning. I know some of the people in the chat were part of those series, but that's probably the best examples of prompt engineering for data science, right? Because we did, all the series, anytime I've written code on a stream, it's been AI first, right? We've basically never have started from a blank page. It's always been not what code can we write, but what code can ChatGPT write, right? Vensa says, not the first time. I follow you since under 10 followers. Wow. But was not so active. Wow. Thanks so much, Vensa. Really appreciate that. So that means you've been following me for more than a year. I mean, I started in May of last year. So thank you so much. And I apologize. I guess I don't remember you from the stream. So I apologize. I'm usually pretty good about remembering people. But thanks for being here. Yeah, anything we can help you with, let us know. It's an open format. Anybody can bring up any topic. So thanks for stopping by, Vince. I really appreciate you. So 619 says, thank you so much. And are there any advices that would help me as a student learning data science or mistakes I should avoid? That's a long conversation, my friend. So what I would advise to you, because I know you're still like pre-college. I think that you should, or a young person now, I think would benefit from not, I repeat, not getting a technical degree in college. In the age of AI, with all the prompting and all the resources to learn that are out there, I would be a business major. And then I would do the data science with my own efforts outside of school, or in addition to school, I would say, right? Now, that's very similar to the pattern that I followed. I was an international business major in college. I do not have a technical degree. But I did software engineering on my own. All of my jobs, during school, like my part-time jobs to kind of help get me through school, they were all technical jobs. I worked for video game companies during college. I worked for internet companies doing tech support. I was a tech support guy on the phone, right? That'll teach you a lot about working with systems, right? And then I was also doing my own little like experiments with development at home, right? I in addition to my school books one year, at the school bookstore, I also bought a copy of Visual Basic 6, and I would take business classes in school, but then I would go home and I would fool around with Visual Basic 6. And I actually ended up doing contracts in VB6 later in my career, believe it or not. So yeah, so that's what I would do. I know that path is not for everybody, but I think it can work. And the upside is that when you graduate, you'll be able to talk to the business side of the house, which you won't do if you're a CS major or a DS major, right? Those classes don't train you for that. So that's what I would tell you, 619. Vensa says, why do you rely so much on GPT? There is much better ones. I'd advise you to play with Grok, much better in code. Gemini 2.5 was awesome. Vensa, you're making some interesting statements there. I think, and I know that this is not a popular opinion, but I think that ChatGPT 4.0 specifically is the strongest at code. Like, I'll die on that hill. I think that it's the strongest in the code of all the ones I've tried, right? Like Gemini is okay, Grok is okay, Claude is kind of okay, but I always hit their limit too quickly. You know, to me, Anthropic is, just the limiter. I hate the limiter on Anthropic. And personally, I don't see the big deal because I know that everybody says that Claude is very strong. I don't see it. I like Grok because it's fast, right? I mean, you can't deny that Grok is pretty fast. And Gemini to me is a good writer. I like Gemini for text. Like the more I use ChatGPT for text, the more I don't like it for that. So I do like Gemini 2.5 for text. Perplexity for text can also be interesting, but I hate Perplexity for research. So Vensa, my point to you being is that you can use the different engines for different things, right? You can use them for different strengths, different weaknesses. I think that's totally healthy. So I agree with you that Gemini and Grok are pretty good, but I like them for different reasons than code, right? One of the things I also find Grok really helpful for is for walking me through steps for different like tasks that I need. So like for example, I use Stripe for my billing, and sometimes I need to do certain things on the Stripe website. And I may not know how to do them, so I just pop them into Grok, and Grok is pretty good about saying, here, go and click on this, and then click on this screen, and then do this on this. Like, I like Grok for that, right? ChatGPT is not so great at that. Perplexity is terrible at that, right? So Vensa, your comments are well received. I appreciate what you're saying. But, I just think they have different strengths for different things. And it's totally okay for you to kind of bounce between them. And there's some that are just like, I'm not a big Anthropic fan, I think their limiter is kind of lame. And Claude Code is like just kind of okay. Like I haven't been like wowed by it. So, you can use different things. And then also remember, I am specifically stating that for ChatGPT, 4.0 is the way to go. Like to me, 4.0 is a great engine. If you look at the series I've done, we used 4.0 basically through like 90% of those series, and 4.0 only made mistakes like 2 or 3 times. So I don't know. The proof is in the pudding there, right? I kind of like 4.0. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about that. Let me know what engines you're using for what tasks. Because, you might have different things than you may have different likes and needs than I do, right? You might say, hey, I like Perplexity for code. I've never heard anyone say that, but as a scientist, I got to be open-minded to that, right? So I think it can be different things for different people, and, that's okay. But I appreciate the perspective there, Venza. So again, for anybody in the chat, feel free to say hello. Feel free to let me know what you're doing. And just, we'll see where the rest of the conversation takes us. 619 says, what do you think is the limit of AI for building machine learning? I think GPT is great, but I don't know where I can trust it anymore. Okay, so 619, you're asking a great question. So I feel like you're kind of describing the human in the loop, right? Because you're saying that you're the human in the loop, you're looking at the code or the theories that ChatGPT gives you, right? So this is where your ability as a data scientist will still be important, right? It'll still be important for you to be knowledgeable and be able to say, yeah, ChatGPT, that answer makes sense. Or no, wait a minute, why did it do this? Whoa, that looks crazy, right? Or your skill will also come in writing the prompts. Are you able to accurately describe your data? Are you able to accurately describe the problem statement? Are you able to accurately describe the like the measurements or the result that you're looking to get, right? Or those measurements of success? Are you able to express those, right? So 619, I think that what you're describing is definitely a valid concern, but it becomes less of a concern the more talented of the human that you are, because you're still able to kind of, you're still able to kind of play traffic cop with all the results and prompts that you're using AI for, right? So, you're still growing, you're still developing your skills. So I think that will become easier as you become more skilled, right? But you're basically describing the human in the loop. You are the human in the loop in this scenario, right? So yeah, your skills and your abilities to assess and evaluate what your employee ChatGPT did for you is still critical, and that's why the job or the role of a data scientist will always still be around. So let me know if that helps you, 619. I think I understood your question correctly, but feel free to tell me otherwise. Um, Siddhant, welcome, Siddhant. Best SQL for AI and data domain. Um, Best SQL for AI and did you mean to say best AI for SQL and data domain? I think you might have gotten those two mixed. I think you might have gotten those words reversed. Let me know there, Siddhant, because there is no SQL for AI, right? So maybe you meant to say AI for SQL? Let me know, Siddhant. Let me know in the chat. But yeah, for anyone else joining us, feel free to let me know what's on your mind. What are you working on? What do you got going on in your life? Anything you want to talk about. Feel free to share. Feel free to talk things out, share things out. Or if you see something in the chat that you want to reply to, hey, the replies don't always have to come from me. Anybody can reply, right? I mean MySQL, SQL Server, or Postgres SQL. So the best SQL for AI and data domain. Okay. I think I see where you're going with that. It depends. The answer is it depends. For traditional algorithm development, I think that the packages you mentioned are still very much valid and very popular, right? Lots of MySQL, lots of SQL Server, and lots of Postgres installations out there, right? But I think really you have to be careful about tying yourself to one package, right? I think it's still beneficial for you to learn SQL as a language, as a concept, as a database design concept, rather than focusing on a package. Because what happens if you end up working at a company that, if you dedicate yourself to MySQL, but you end up at a company that's a SQL Server shop, what are you going to do? They're not going to just change databases, right? I mean, that's one of the hidden secrets in the corporate world. Nobody likes to change or upgrade the database. I mean, they're not going to change it just for you, just because you're a MySQL guy and they're an SQL Server shop, right? So you are 10 times better off studying like normalization rules than you are learning like the intricacies of Postgres, right? So that's my take on it. And then also, I mean, I said that that's for the traditional stuff. Most AI isn't using those packages, right? Most AI are focused on graph databases. So depends on how deep you want to get into it or what level you're at now. You may not even want to study any of those anymore. So it just depends, Adon. But again, the better task, the better investment of your time is learning SQL and theories behind database design, right? Like that's what I would be doing. I'd be asking myself, and this goes for anybody in the chat, not just for Sadan. Ask yourself, how good am I with normalization? Like, am I able to explain normalization to another person? Am I able to design a normalized database? Like, that's a 10 times more critical question than do I know MySQL really well? So think about that, guys. Think about that and let me know in the chat if you want to put in your answers. How good are you at normalization? And if you're asking yourself, what's normalization? Okay, then we need to take a step back, right? Okay, 619 says, yeah, it helps a lot. I think I trust these AI more than I should. That when the problem gets more complex, I'm lost. Okay. Well, two things come to mind, 619. It just means that you need to develop your personal skills a little bit more. That's all, right? Because the more you develop those skills, the more you'll be able to recognize what's right and what's wrong. So, I don't mean this to sound this in a negative way, but you just don't know any better. That's all, right? But you can fix that. You can fix that with your own growth, right? As you grow, as you start working more with data science and you get more successful projects, that recognition of what's right and what's wrong will become a lot easier. That's all, right? So no magic to it. It's just time. You just need to develop a little bit more. The second thing I'll tell you is don't forget that these algorithms are still evolving, right? We're still in very early days when it comes to these algorithms, right? Lots of improvement that can still happen. So I think, and this is probably one of my most hot takes because I know that there's people out there that disagree with this, but I think in the next like 5 years max, maybe even 3, but 5 years max, we will perfect code from AI. Like AI will basically always give you the right code, period. Like you won't even have to double check it. You'll just be like, yep, AI wrote that. Yep, it's good to go. Like I envision us reaching that level of accuracy. I think that's achievable. And I think it's going to happen in 5 years max. So what you're describing, 619, kind of could be a problem that would go away on its own. Right? Now you'll still have to ask the right questions. You'll still have to know whether, wait, is this a supervised problem or unsupervised? How many categories do I need? Oh, is that accuracy acceptable? Let me ask. Like you'll still have to be involved, right? But from a coding wise, I see it where people will be just like, oh yeah, sure. Let's go ahead and push this to production. The code's ready to go. Because it'll be that good, right? Like you'll get to a point where, you know, whatever AI gave you just hasn't made a mistake in years, right? Like you know what? It'll be like golfers. You see how like you see the golf tournaments, and they got like it's like a tee box, and they got the crowd really close to the golfer, right? And the guy's about, and you think to yourself, oh my God, what if he hits somebody with that ball, right? But what you don't realize is that those golfers haven't mishit a ball in like 10 years, right? Like they basically always hit the ball straight. Like they haven't hit a bad shot in like decades, right? Like they probably can't even remember the last time they hit a bad shot from a tee, right? So that's what I'm thinking like AI is gonna do, right? Where it's just like all the time, it's just gonna give you like super accurate code. And you just won't even doubt it, right? You'll just be like, oh yeah, I don't even need to look at it. Just go. So I think you're gonna be okay, 619. Just keep on developing your skills, right? Keep on growing as a data scientist. And then the algorithms themselves will get better, right? They'll get better. So let me know what you guys think about that, because I know people disagree with that. But I think we will solve coding with AIs within the next, 5 years max. Like, mark my words, we will reach that point where we're just like, oh yeah, AI just doesn't make a mistake. Like the code is always right. Like we will reach that point. I firmly believe that. So Sadan says, I'm learning data science. Can you suggest platforms to practice just like Leak Code, Chef Code, Forces, or software development roles? What is wrong with your own computer? If you have a computer, you could practice, right? You know, and I did some content on this, guys. Don't fall for the idiot influencers. You don't need the cloud. You don't need an AWS account. You don't need all of that junk. Get yourself Visual Studio Code. That's free. Get yourself Python. That's free. And know how to open the terminal on your computer, you know, and both Windows and Mac have a terminal. That's it. That's all you need. And I've shown you guys how to do this. Go to my YouTube, go to the playlist, check out the series I've done. We did an entire 8-week series on Introduction to Statistical Learning. We did 9 weeks on neural networks. Guess what? No cloud. No other accounts. No notebooks. You don't need any of that. Just get yourself a code editor and practice. Get a code editor and a way to execute the files, which is why you need the command line. Right? That's all you need. That's all you need. That's it. That's your platform. Just start working on your computer. That's all you need. You know, and as far as what to practice, develop your own ideas for data science. And those usually come with questions. Start thinking about your hobbies, thinking about your interests, and start asking questions about it. Right? Like, I know Manoj in the chat, he shared before how he has access to agricultural data, so he's doing agricultural-based products or projects. Just start thinking about what's around you and what are the things that you can do. You don't need other accounts. You don't need to wait for your AWS to be approved. Get all that. Just get started. Sadan says how to be able to solve industry level problems. That's what I meant, a kind of simulated environment to practice. You don't need an environment for that. You just need an idea and data. Why do you feel like you need an environment? There's nothing to give you. You know, people are always waiting for these outside things. Like, I need this to come to me. I need to do this. Just get started. Pick an industry. Go to the trade association for that industry. Trade associations are usually great sources of data. And go out and use their data. That's it. That's all you need. It's not any more complex than that. I promise you. It's really that easy. Just pick an industry, Google search for like one of the industry journals or an industry trade association. In fact, I did a video about this, right? I did a whole video starting from zero, and I said, hey, you know what? I'm interested in the gold. I like the gold industry. I like investing in gold. I think gold is an interesting product. So I literally started a stream where I did a search. Oh, look, there's the World Gold Council. That sounds interesting. And they had a ton of data available. And we did a whole EDA in under an hour just by data that we found on that stream. So just go ahead and do that. Excuse me. Sadan says, I thought something like leak code for data science existed. I think I'm wrong. I have no idea if that's the case. Maybe somebody in the chat knows. You know, somebody in the chat knows. Feel free to help out Sadan. I don't think there is. I mean, Kaggle would be the closest, right, with their competitions. I guess that's kind of a simulated environment because they do give you feedback, right? But I mean, guys, you know, for me, people who ask this, like, they're missing like the beauty of data science, guys. Because you guys know how passionate I am about this. But one of the things that I'm also like in love with data science, it's so egalitarian, right? The tools are available to anybody who wants them. There are zero barriers for you to get tools for data science. Anyone can download Python at any time. Anyone can download, you know, a data set at any time. Like there's no barriers, right? Literally anybody on the planet can fire up some sort of data science environment to use. Like, that's beautiful, right? Like, if you wanted to become an AutoCAD specialist, there's barriers to entry for that, right? The software can be quite expensive, right? Like, but data science, like literally anyone on the planet can download the tools. They are freely and openly available. I love that about data science. I truly, truly love that. Don't you guys find that amazing? I love that about data science. It's the most egalitarian tool probably that's available to anybody who wants it, right? So I think that's beautiful. Manoj says 100% true, Sir Dennis. Yeah, Manoj. You know, I know you do a lot of work on your own. I know that you're developing skills on your own. Just do it. Just get the data, get the ideas, and start working through the data science process. That's it. That's it. Sadat says, I read a data science book by Hader. It emphasizes the need of storytelling, by the way. It was called The Sexiest Job of the 21st Century, according to you, by Harvard. Yeah. Is that who it was? Okay, cool. Thank you for that. Yeah, you know, everybody was in love with that for a while. It's a sexy data science is or data scientist is the sexiest job in the 21st century. Yeah, let's become data scientists. You know what? It was around that time when all the stupid posts were made on LinkedIn, you know, 10 ways to hack the data science interview, become a data scientist in only 2 months. God, that was so offensive. So offensive to see those things. But yeah, that was definitely an interesting time, and a lot of people still fall for that junk, right? There is also the misconception that data scientists don't need logical and critical thinking, but it's more than that. Sure, absolutely, Sadan. Yeah. Yeah, I think Sadan, where I see that the most too are the people who are very math focused or math oriented in data science. I mean, that to me is definitely missing the forest for the trees. Like, why would you do that to yourself? That's dumb, right? That's a fundamental misunderstanding of what data science is and does, right? So yeah, I agree with you. There's definitely a lot of logic and critical thinking. And you know, and as as I say in my content and as I help a lot of my clients with, it's a people business, right? It's data science is a people business. If you can't talk to people, if you're the math nerd, if all you've done is study math, you will be a terrible data scientist. You will suck at data science, right? But people don't understand that. They'd rather fall for the idiot influencers that are basically just trying to sell you a course or trying to sell you some junk, right? But it happens. Manoj says, yes, data science can be implemented in all fields. Yeah, absolutely. And there's plenty of fields and plenty of companies that haven't done it, right? So 619, coming back to your question, plenty of opportunities still remain, right? I mean, trust me, I get calls from the companies. There's plenty of companies out there that haven't done anything with data science, right? Sadat says, we are all privileged to be able to have a discussion with you. Oh, I appreciate that, Sadat. Yeah, it's very nice of you to say that. You know, I'm just trying to put out good information. You know, coming back to what you said about that whole sexy job of 21st century and when all those posts were made on LinkedIn, I got to tell you guys, like, I literally do feel offended by that. Like, because like that's like, this is my profession. Like, this is what I do. And you want to say that you can do it like in 2 months or whatever, or you're just trying to hack the interview instead of actually being a professional? Like, that's offensive to me, right? Like, there's no become a doctor in 2 months documents or PDFs out there, right? Because you can't do it. Same thing with data science, right? Same thing with data science. Like it's dumb and offensive for you to think that you can do this like in 2 months. Like, I turn down clients coaching clients who come to me for that. I turned one down just last week. They wanted to become a data scientist in 3 months or something like that. Like, why would I work with somebody like that? Right? I'm interested. Excuse me. 619 says, agree with Rao. Very eye opening for me. Oh, I appreciate that, 619. Yeah, just trying to put out good information that really doesn't exist out there. Um, okay, so Sadan says, I'm interested in fintech and data science blend. Can you give some suggestions? What financial data have you worked with? And I'm asking that because what I'm really asking is, how are you defining fintech, right? Because it's really hard to encapsulate fintech into one definition. And some people don't always have the best definitions for fintech, right? So give me some more information there, Sadan. Um, because I get a lot of questions on becoming a quant, and I think a lot of people don't understand what a quant does. They think they do because of, like, I don't know, social media or other sources out there. But I think quants have a completely different role than most people think. Sadan says, like, stock market, insurance. Yeah, no, I get that. I understand what the financial world is, but like, what do you mean in terms of like fintech as a job? Because what I'm trying to propose to you, Sadan, is that what you think fintech is probably nothing what fintech actually is. Like, so give me an example of what you think would be a fintech task that you would be working on. I mean, you have to have that, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't be interested in fintech. If you don't have that, then why are you interested in fintech, right? Um, so just give me a little bit more detail there on what you think fintech is. Like, how do you see that job? Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to know. A quant analyst or quant strategist. Okay, but then that means that you really don't. But then that means you really don't know what fintech is, Siddhant. So it kind of raises the question, why are you pursuing that if you don't really know it? You may not like it, right? 619 says, how do you overcome the very technical problem in developing models if you didn't learn as a degree? Really curious, like, who do you consult? Well, 619, I didn't learn it as an undergrad, but I did learn it at the graduate level, right? Because remember, when I was an undergrad, I mean, 619, I probably graduated college before your parents were even alive, okay? um, so in undergrad, data science wasn't really like a clear option for me, for anybody, right? It just wasn't like as widespread as a career, right? And even later on in my life, it wasn't spread as a career, right? So in my mind, I was getting ready to be a software developer, not a data scientist, right? So, but when I did make the move in data science, I had to be honest with myself and say, well, wait a minute, my resume is not ready, and my underlying academics are probably not ready. So I did go back to do some graduate studies because of that. And then that's where I got into like learning statistics, learning hypothesis testing, which then led into me taking I think it was called like a data mining course. It wasn't even machine learning. It was called data mining, I believe, or database mining or something like that. But that's where I learned about modeling and confusion matrices and accuracy, precision, recall. So I still like had to build an academic base for that. Now that still wasn't enough for a job. I still had to do my own personal development as a data scientist, and I've talked about that before, right? So that's how I did it, 619, where you kind of have to balance out the academics, by kind of being honest with yourself, but then also taking that and applying it to something that's actually like, an employable skill, right? So it's kind of like different approaches that you need, that you need to build there. So yeah, just to be clear on that, guys, because I talk about how I was inspired by the book Mastery by Robert Greene. I did a lot of self-reflection, so on and so forth, right? But just because I said, oh, I want to leave software development, become a data scientist, that doesn't mean I started putting resumes out the next day. From that decision to actually like being ready, it was at least 2 years, right? Like it was at least 2 years of me saying, okay, well, wait a minute, I like this and I could be passionate about it, but that doesn't mean I'm ready. Like you have to be honest with yourself. And as I said before, like even after I took classes, even after I was well on my way, I still did like 50 EDAs before I even had a data scientist resume. Like I wasn't even, I didn't think I was even prepared to put together a data scientist resume until like maybe like 7 to 8 months after my studies. So like even after I finished my studies, I still like had this like 8-month period where I studied on my own, right? So it's a process of becoming a data scientist. It wasn't just like, yeah, I got pretty good software development skills and data science sounds cool, so let me put together a data scientist resume. Like that was far from the case, right? Yeah, so 619, I would just tell you, keep on being honest with yourself and keep on practicing on your own, right? Like, have you, like, well, let me kind of give the same example that I've given before, 619, because I really do believe in this example, right? As I've said before, let's pretend that there is no interview process. Let's pretend that we just give you a job. We just tell you, here's an offer letter, show up on Monday, you're our data scientist. What's going to happen is they're going to tell you, great, we hired you, we're paying you a lot of money. Here's a very nice desk. The desk has a very nice computer. Here's the database password. Have all the data you want. You have access to all of our data. You got 2 weeks to show me something. Are you ready? Like you got to perform in that situation, right? School's out. There's no professor. Your boss is not technical. There's nobody there to double check your work. You're a solo practitioner, which is very, very common for data scientists. Are you ready for that? Like, because that's basically what you're setting yourself up for, right? That's a lot of first days. Like, I know that sounds dramatic, but it's pretty close to what a first day is for a lot of data scientists. Right? So that's the part, like, kind of work backwards from that, right? Like, are you ready for somebody to tell you that? Are you ready for somebody to enable you with all the tools to tell you, hey, you have access to everything? Show me something. Like that can be scary if you're not ready, right? Super scary if you're not ready. But that's the example I would keep in mind there, 619. Like you have to put in that work on your own too. Manoj reminds me, even now, most of them call it data mining. Yeah, yes, there are still some people that call it. It used to be a lot more popular, but I'm pretty sure that the class that I took for Introduction to Statistical Learning, which is known to be a really good data science book, yeah, I think it was called data mining or database mining. I mean, because remember, guys, I went to school a long time ago. I'm pretty old, right? So data science as a career was not really a thing, and certainly not as a degree. I mean, I know now there's a lot of data science degrees, but back then there was no data science degree. But yeah, data mining is definitely what used to be the popular name for it. All right, guys, so this feels like a good transition point. Thank you so much. Really appreciate great questions today. Let's keep this going, guys. Let's keep this going. This has been a great discussion. It's an excellent use of the open format. Anybody can talk about anything. We've had quite a variety of discussion. So thank you so much, everybody. And as always, I worry about you guys. So please, take care of yourselves. We live in a dynamic world. So take care of yourselves, take care of your families, and I will see you guys tomorrow.